Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Green Square Talks Battlebots production podcast. So, I present to you fight card number 11 of Battlebots. We had a 2 week break in there, and yeah, we're back to continue the season basically and finish out qualifiers because we're probably 2/3 to getting close to 3/4 of the way through, and we got some interesting stuff here. So we got some matchups that feature robots that are in a really good spot right now, and with a victory could get a pretty solid seed. While there are some other robots that are kind of in the opposite right now, kind of have some stuff to prove, and could use a win here. So, yeah, the plan will be the same. Basically, we're going to go through each of these 7 matchups one by one. Going to share who I think will win and what I think the outcome will be, along with maybe some other possible outcomes and whatever I know, at least. So, uh, yeah, if you like what you see, of course, like the video, subscribe for more content, and definitely comment down below your predictions. I always love seeing who everyone thinks will win each matchup on the fight card. It's always so much fun to see, regardless if you agree or disagree with myself. That's the fun of BattleBots, and let's go ahead and get started here. Leading it off, we got two big names right off the bat: Black Dragon and Beta. Both robots are in. I'd probably say a reasonably good spot at least. Black Dragon's currently sitting at 1-1. They started off with a victory against Monsoon, and then a loss by a pretty close judge's decision to Quantum. Beta, on the other hand, currently undefeated with wins over Kraken and Shatter. So, Beta's already announced on social media that they went with the flat armor configuration, basically the same thing that what they went with when they fought Ribot last season. But they did mention that this is not the same configuration that they used when they fought Ribot, Lockjaw, and whoever else they used that armor configuration against. Because they mentioned they made some improvements that they're going to be testing out for this matchup that makes that armor configuration a lot more shock absorbent, basically meaning that they'll be able to take the hits better. At least we hope. Well, from vertical spinners like Black Dragon. And looks like Black Dragon went with wedgelets, and they looked a lot smaller than what we're used to seeing. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some top armor on Black Dragon to hold off the hammer and Beta. So, yeah, I'm always nervous about Beta fighting vertical spinners here. Even if the armor choice that they went with is a lot more gives them a bit more protection and would help them take the hits better. And that's partly why I'm going Black Dragon on this fight for this one. Like, definitely Beta's big vulnerability. Like, every season they've been in BattleBots, even though the first season and they were in, they didn't take on any of those. Their big vulnerability is vertical spinners, basically. And and while John Reed's driving is amazing, can't count out Black Dragon's driving as well. While theirs might be a bit more fancy compared to John Reed's, their driving is not one to underestimate either. And yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty big driving war, and will depend on can Beta get the shots they need, because they might be able to disable Black Dragon's spinner, but I don't think they're going to be able to kill Black Dragon's drive with that hammer right there. Black Dragon's durability has been phenomenal all season, and yeah, Beta's going to need to land the perfect shot because their big method of winning this fight is going to be disable that spinner on Black Dragon, and I think that's going to be a pretty difficult task. And if Black Dragon starts getting hits and knocking Beta off balance, I think that's just going to swing right in Black Dragon's favor right off the bat. I'm going to predict Black Dragon by KO for this one. So, all right, let's move on. Cobalt and Overhaul for fight number 2, and yeah, both robots currently sitting at 1-1 right now. Cobalt started off with a win over Death Roll, and who is currently 2-1 right now, and then suffered a loss in a suffered like probably one of the highest quality losses we've seen like in Battlebot's history, at least, and that loss to Minotaur. Like, definitely really showed some good stuff here. So I think Cobalt's in a pretty good spot right now. They're facing Overhaul, who started off with a victory over Starchild by judge's decision, and then suffered a loss to Claw Viper, who's been looking great this year so far. So as for this one, I'm going right off the bat. I'm going Cobalt for this one. Like, I think this is just a really bad matchup for Overhaul. What Overhaul is going to need to do here is just avoid that spinner entirely, at least. We already know Cobalt's going with the piano keys setup, and I think Overhaul is going for ground game as well, similar to what they used against Claw Viper in their last fight. And I think it's just going to be a test of who can win the ground game. I am not going to underestimate Overhaul at all because like Overhaul does have some pretty solid ground game and similar to Dave Moulds, Charles is a great driver too. So yeah, this one's going to come down to driving and can Cobalt get the perfect shot? And that's kind of what I'm going for here, at least. I think Overhaul might have the start of this fight, might get a flip or two on Cobalt, but that's pretty much what they're going to need to do for the entirety of the fight. Because, like, I think as soon as Overhaul, like, gets underneath, or as soon as Cobalt gets underneath for the first time and starts feeding Overhaul into that spinner, I think it's just going to be lights out for Cobalt. Or sorry, lights out for Overhaul right here. I don't like. I think based on what we saw in their fight with Starchild, I'm not. I'm very concerned about how many shots Overhaul can take before their drive gets hindered and gets affected, basically. So I'm gonna predict Cobalt by KO, but I hope we get to see a quality. I hope we get to see a quality performance from Overhaul, making it a bit more competitive because in my opinion, I think Cobalt is one of the worst possible matchups for Overhaul. At least in my opinion. Charles might disagree, and that's totally fine. So, all right, let's move on to fight number 3. We've got Switchback and Ominous. And this is a fight right here where I think both robots have a lot to prove. They're both sitting at 1-1 right now, but I think both robots have some work to do because I feel there hasn't been a lot of quality showings so far between these two robots. On one side, we got Switchback, who started off with a victory over Banshee and then suffered a loss to Death Roll. Ominous, they started off with a loss to Claw Viper and then bounced back last episode actually with a victory over Shreddit Bro. But but yeah, like I said, like I feel the quality of showings from these two robots just isn't there so far, and so I think both robots have quite a bit to show. I think this is a great opportunity for it. So yeah, I think this one's going to come down to who can win the ground game between the two robots, and I'm not really certain exactly who I think would win that one, but but mobility is actually why I'm gonna predict Ominous for this one. Like Switchback, definitely the new Egg Beater has quite a bit of punch to it based on what we've seen in their first couple matchups so far. I definitely think Switchback has the better weapon, but I like the fact that I think Ominous is a lot more mobile than Switchback at least. Like Switchback's definitely got pretty good mobility, but I think with the Omni wheels, I think Ominous has a pretty nice advantage in that at least. So this one, I think this is going to be a full 3 minute match. Basically, I'm predicting this one's going to go the full 3 minutes. I think whoever has the better moments between the two is going to win this fight and because I think Ominous is the better driven robot, and like I said, more mobility. So I think Ominous will win based on the fact that I think they'll have more opportunities at least to get hits in. But we'll see though. Like I said, both robots have a lot to prove in this matchup. I feel, and definitely this is a great match. This is a great time to show it, basically. And yeah, I'm going Ominous for this one. I'm going to predict by judge's decision. Okay, fight number 4, the Midway Major. We got Triton and Glitch. And this is another matchup where I think both robots have a lot to prove. Both robots are kind of in an 0-2 hole right now. Triton suffered 2 losses to Lucky and Copperhead. Both robots have been looking great, though. And then Glitch, 2 losses to Riptide and Lockjaw. 2 robots who have also been looking pretty good so far this year. So basically, I think both these robots have had a pretty solid strength of schedule so far, but both need a win right here because I think whoever loses this matchup could be in a serious hole and possibly might not make brackets without a win here. Regardless, though, for this midway major matchup, like I'm gonna predict this is gonna be a quick fight right there. I like regardless because like we got two very hard hitting weapons right here with Triton's horizontal spinner and Glitch's egg beater. While I don't think we've seen the full potential of Triton so far, because I think Triton's capable of doing a lot more damage than what we've seen out of that bar spinner so far this season. And then Glitch, on the other hand, like Glitch's drive has looked pretty solid, and then that weapon is looking as deadly as ever based on what we saw in the Lockjaw fight. And it's just that Glitch has struggled when upside down, basically struggled to get traction. So yeah, I'm gonna go Glitch on this one. Like my big concern though for Glitch is basically not that Triton's gonna flip them, because I think odds are pretty low of Triton flipping Glitch, and I'm knocking on wood right now. Because we have seen vertical spinners who can't self-right get flipped by horizontal spinners before. Tracer. I'd love to see Tracer back in some future season. Just referencing the fact that they got flipped by Ribot and Hijinks, which is really funny to see in my opinion. But yeah, I'm gonna go Glitch for this one because I like the power in that egg beater. It's been driving pretty well, at least so far this season. Like the drive has looked a lot better than what it looked when it looked last season. And Triton definitely proved in that last fight that backside is pretty exposed at least so the fact that Copperhead popped it open like a firework basically. And that's definitely the big concern for Triton. Triton's going to need to keep that horizontal spinner facing Glitch as much as possible. And definitely that's going to be Triton's key to victory. And yeah. So for this one, I'm going to go Glitch by KO in this one. Because I do think, regardless of who wins this one, whether it's Glitch or Triton, I do think this one's going to end pretty quickly. Just knowing the power of these two robots right there. Okay, fight number 5. Gigabyte and Star Child. So this one, another matchup that features two robots who have a lot to prove here. Because these are two more robots that are currently in that 0-2 hole right now. Gigabyte's got 2 losses to Free Shipping and Bloodsport. Star Child, well, they've lost to Overhaul and Mammoth. So basically, what I think this one's going to come down to is because I feel both robots like a big common issue that I think both robots have been having so far is driving, at least. With Gigabyte, nothing against those new drivers at all. Like, definitely, I know that it takes practice in order to be able to drive lots of these big 250-pound robots, but I think driving has been one of the things that's been holding them back so far. But then I will admit right off the bat, though, it looked a lot better when they fought Bloodsport in their last matchup. Like, I definitely think the driving was a big improvement in that matchup compared to their fight with Free Shipping. But I think it's still something that could possibly hold them back. But I expect their driving will probably be better than it was in the Bloodsport fight. Then Star Child, like definitely Brandon's a high tier driver. It's just that like it seems like they've been struggling just to land shots at least. Like they've definitely gotten a few in both those first two matchups. But it's like the big struggle is basically whenever they want to swing the arm, they move backwards a little bit. So they might end up hitting the floor in front of their opponent before hitting their actual opponent with the spinner. So definitely that's something that I think has been one of the things that's been holding Star Child back so far. So what I think this one's going to come down to is who can drive the match better and who can land the better shots at least. So basically, Gigabyte's strategy is almost certainly going to be trying to tear up the wheels of Star Child. And then Star Child probably going to try to penetrate the top of Gigabyte, like what Huge did when they fought Gigabyte back in 2019. So I think whoever's going to be able to land those shots better between the two of them is going to come out on top in this one. But then my other concern is at least Gigabyte is a lot more vulnerable to breaking itself in the process too, which we kind of which we saw them like we saw their spinner go down and part of their drive go down as well in that massive shot between them and Bloodsport. And definitely, I think the short corners just really hold Gigabyte back in this one. And but kind of going back to who can land the more damaging shots, at least, like I think it's going to be a good question of whether Gigabyte can get through those Tigris wheels, basically, because those wheels, basically, ever since like Huge brought out those things, I don't think anyone's been able to do some like really significant damage to those things. Gigabyte could be the first because Gigabyte is a really powerful spinner, or like without a doubt. But yeah, I think I'm gonna lean toward I like this is a tough one to predict in my opinion. And while I do think a lot of people are probably gonna go Gigabyte on this one, just because I think Gigabyte is probably more better equipped to land those damaging shots than Star Child, I'm gonna go a little spicy. I'm gonna predict Star Child for this one. I am pretty concerned, like I talked a little bit about earlier, about Gigabyte possibly like ramming itself into the walls and possibly killing off the spinner on its own. That's something I'm a little worried about because like even though Star Child is not like the wedge that free shipping is or really powerful horizontal spinner like Bloodsport, Gigabyte's still like just as vulnerable to that. And not to mention, we haven't seen Gigabyte's top tested in a while too, ever since they fought Huge. Like Starchild has mentioned that like I don't think we've seen the full power of their spinner yet. So this one also could be another one where where maybe we'll see that spinner working at 100%, like minus the teething or spin up or whatever. So yeah, for this one, I'm going a little spicy and I'm predicting Star Child for this one. But I hope we get a good matchup from these two because I think both these robots like not only need a win, but probably a quality performance too. And this is a great matchup to show it. So uh, yeah, let's move on after that little confusing discussion. So we got Jackpot and Captain Shredderator for fight number 6. So yeah, these are the first two robots where this is their fourth and final matchup of the qualifiers, and both robots are in a must-win situation, both with 1-2 records right now. Jackpot started off with 2 losses to Scorpios and Rotator, and then bounced back with a pretty solid victory over Ribot. Captain Shredderator kind of in a bigger hole in my opinion right now. Yeah, they started off with a loss to Quantum, got a victory over Hijinks, and then that happened last week. That brutal loss to Riptide. Uh, yeah, so this is a must-win situation for both robots right here, and I think Captain Shredder probably needs it more because I could see Jackpot sneaking into the bracket at 1-3, maybe, but Captain Shredderator, I don't think the quality performances has been there for Captain Shredderator so far. So I'm pretty confident that if Captain Shredder does not win this fight, I don't think Captain Shredder Eater is going to make bracket. I think Jackpot possibly could be out too with a loss, but I think they have basically if both these robots were at 1-3 coming in, I would probably pick Jackpot over Captain Shredder Eater if I had just one spot left and I was deciding between those two robots. So yeah, must-win situation for both robots regardless. So for this one, I'm going Jackpot for this one. I suspect we're probably going to see a horizontal configuration for Jackpot in this one, whether it's like a plow like what they used against like Malice and Tombstone last season, or maybe like a flat armor configuration like what they used against Rotator to fend off the horizontal spinner or part of Rotator. Captain Shredderator probably gonna go with like a cone shaped shell like what they've done for their previous two fights. And but yeah, I'm going Jackpot for this one. 2 reasons. One of them being Jackpot has a design advantage in this one. Like I think if they go weapon on weapon, Captain Shredder is probably gonna go flying. And the second reason, basically, Captain Shredderator, like apparently they had 24 hours to repair their robot after the Riptide fight. Like and they had a massive repair job after that fight. Like just seeing the amount of damage Riptide did to that robot. And I'm not going to talk about like my opinions on that. If you want to hear my opinions on it, watch the episode review from that. That I'm holding off from that at least from now on. So, yeah, I think just the fact that Captain Shredder is in a bit worse situation when it comes to having a bigger repair job, I think could give Jackpot an advantage. Not that Jackpot doesn't have a repair job of their own, because they also definitely took a lot of damage in the fight with Ribot. But yeah, this is another one where while I'm going Jackpot, I wouldn't want to underestimate Captain Shredder either, just because Jackpot has definitely been vulnerable to spinners in the past too. Because like definitely I would probably say Jackpot is one of the more delicate vertical spinners, if that makes sense at all. Because like I feel Jackpot probably has a harder time compared to lots of other robots lots of other spinner robots when it comes to taking hits, as what we've seen in the past. And Jackpot's definitely seemed like susceptible to losing drive on one side, as we've seen in their past two fights. And Captain Shredder is still a hard hitter regardless. So yeah, I'm still relatively confident that Jackpot will win this one, and yeah, I have Jackpot winning this one, but like I said, I'm not counting out Captain Shredder either. All right, let's move to the main event: Rotator and Bloodsport, and this is going to be a good one. And yeah, so I kind of yeah, I'm pretty confident Rotator's gonna go with Spinner on one side, probably the Plow on the other side, right, or the Titanium Wedge, whatever you want to call it, on their other side at least, just to be able to take some hits from Bloodsport's Spinner, slow it down, and then line up Bloodsport for a shot from this for a shot from the Spinner. And then as for Bloodsport, I don't know what spinner configuration they're going with, but if I took a guess, I bet they go with a smaller one for like a smaller diameter spinner for stability purposes, at least. Because Rotator is almost certainly going to come out like if Rotator does come with that configuration, which I should know this because I know Rotator posted a test box video, but I'll have to rewatch it because I wasn't looking that closely at it at least because I was at work at that time. But yeah. Anyway, as for this one, I'm going Rotator. I think Rotator is probably the safer bet with this one. Both are yeah. Yeah, I think Rotator's a safer bet here, but I'm not gonna underestimate Bloodsport either, because like Bloodsport I think is one of the better horizontal spinners designed to counter a configuration like Rotator right there. Because I think those wedgelets could actually really come in handy here if unless if Rotator slices them off right there. Because I suspect if Rotator points that wedge towards it, it's possible that Bloodsport could maybe get underneath Rotator with those wedgelets right there, and then it's Rotator kind of lined up a bit for a shot, kind of. I think Bloodsport could possibly like. I don't think this one's gonna be a. Basically, my point being is that while I do think Rotator is gonna win, because I think Victor So's driving and the combination of those configurations is gonna propel him to victory. I don't think this is gonna be the stomp fest that some might believe this might be, at least. I think Bloodsport does have a serious shot at this one, and this was a one where, in my opinion, I think this was a lot harder to predict than what others might imagine, at least. And yeah, I'm still gonna predict Rotator because, like, based on what we saw at the Jackpot fight, like that spinner wasn't even at full power, and it was doing a tremendous amount of damage to Jackpot. And I can't imagine what's going to be doing at full power. And I imagine that robot's probably going to be at full power at least for this one, and they're probably going to go for the KO. And that's what I'm predicting for this one. I'm going to predict Rotator by KO. So let's go ahead and review my predictions. Okay, so my predictions: we got Black Dragon, Cobalt, Ominous, Glitch, Starchild, Jackpot, and Rotator. So yeah, a few pretty safe predictions, a few more spicy predictions at least. So lots of matchups here that will really set up some robots for a pretty high seed, or possibly could dig some robots out of a hole, or possibly put them further in a hole, basically. That's kind of what I'm seeing out of this fight card here. We got lots of great matchups coming regardless. I fully expect there's going to be I fully expect this is going to be another entertaining episode, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this. So, yeah, once again, thanks for watching this video. And definitely comment down below your predictions. Always love hearing them, and hopefully you enjoyed this fun discussion. So, once again, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.